Okay, this is part two. I'm sorry, guys. The fan has to be on. It's just too hot in here.
The robots began their descent toward the hidden facility. As they got closer, the entrance came into view, that weathered sign reading, Base Delta 5, now clearly visible against the rocky mountainside. Jenny carefully set Brad down on the ground near the entrance, making sure he was steady before releasing him. XJ8 did the same with Chuck, who immediately started examining the facility with wide eyes. XJ2 lowered Sheldon gently, and XJ7 released the other sisters, who fanned out to secure the perimeter. "Okay," Jenny said, looking at her friends as they took in the sight of the massive mountain facility. Her blue eyes, optical sensors designed to mimic human expression, reflected the fading sunlight. "Welcome to Base Delta 5, home of some very interesting surprises." "This is incredible," Sheldon breathed, already scanning the structure with some kind of device he'd pulled from his pocket, his white shirt suddenly looking very out of place in the dusty desert. "The engineering here is, the power systems alone." "Come on," XJ7 urged, leading them toward the entrance with her characteristic efficiency. "Wait until you see what's inside." The walk through the corridors was quieter than it had been before, maybe because Jenny's friends were there, adding a layer of normal human witness energy that made everything feel more real, more serious. Brad kept close to Jenny, his jeans dusty from the desert walk, his hoodie providing little protection.
I think talking to you guys during these stories makes it better or worse. Let me know in the comments. My last fanfic video didn't get a lot of views, so I'm trying different things. I really can't do a whole lot with these things because it really is what it is. They're using the Speechify app, so I'm trying changing the narrators and doing different things to try and make these more entertaining for you guys. I think the stories themselves are okay, but let me know. Back to the story.
Against the cool air of the facility. Chuck was peppering XJ8 with questions about flying, his boundless energy undiminished even in the dimly lit corridors. Sheldon was taking readings of everything, his meticulous mind cataloging data, his white shirt now streaked with desert dust. The sisters moved with synchronized grace, their blue and white forms creating an almost ethereal quality in the shadows of the ancient facility. Each one was distinct, yet together they formed a cohesive unit, a family. Then they reached the main chamber. The two charging pods still stood in the center of the room, their occupants still in stasis.
Okay, this is where you're going to meet my OC characters. I'm really excited about them. I worked pretty hard on them. These are variants of two anime characters, and there's reasons for why they look like they look in the story. So I want, specifically in the comments below, when you guys, if and when you guys watch this part, let me know what you think of my variants and their powers.
The medical systems hummed with minimal power, keeping the two prototype units in suspended animation. In the first pod was unmistakably humanoid, but with design elements that seemed pulled directly from anime. His face had distinctive whisker-like markings, and even in stasis there was an energy about him that seemed barely contained. The nameplate read, XN1 Prototype Unit. In the second pod was a quieter figure, dark-haired and more reserved-looking even in suspension. The nameplate read, is 3 Unit Prototype. "Okay," Brad said slowly, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Those are definitely robots." "Anime-inspired robots," Sheldon corrected, moving closer to examine the technical specifications displayed on nearby screens, his analytical mind already breaking down the engineering. "The design language is unmistakable. This one," he gestured toward XN1, "appears to be based on Naruto Uzumaki from the anime series Naruto. And this one?" "Shinji Ikari," Sheldon finished, reading from the S3 unit's designation plate, "from Neon Genesis Evangelion." "Your mom built literal anime characters," Brad said, looking at Jenny with a mixture of awe and confusion. "How is that even possible?" "Apparently Dr. Wakeman was really into anime as a kid," XJ7 explained, her silver and blue form seeming almost ethereal in the facility's lighting. "But she was also inspired by other sci-fi properties. These were prototype projects, but they had complications. The XN1 unit was deactivated because he was too heroic," Sheldon read from the logged notes, his voice taking on a more concerned tone as he adjusted his glasses. "He disobeyed orders to save an orphanage. That should have been commendable, but but the military didn't see it that way. Jenny finished quietly, her elegant design somehow conveying sadness despite her artificial nature. And the S3 unit? Overprotective, self-sacrificing. Possibly unstable emotional processing. XJ2 read from her own scan of the files, her tactical suit seeming out of place in the ancient facility. Also flagged as a risk. They're not risks, Jenny said firmly, her optical sensors brightening with determination as she looked at the two dormant robots. They're people, or robot people, whatever. They're not dangerous just because they care about others. Chuck nodded enthusiastically, his small frame practically vibrating with conviction despite his youth. Yeah, that's the opposite of dangerous. That's like hero material. Brad was quiet for a moment then. So what do we do? Jenny looked at Sheldon, her expression hopeful. Can we wake them up safely? Sheldon was already moving toward the control terminals, examining the medical systems with the intensity of someone who'd found the most interesting puzzle in the world. His careful, precise movements belied his nervousness. The pod systems are old, but they're still functional. If we follow the proper protocols, sequence the reboot correctly, manage the power supply. Yes, I think we can do this. Then let's do it, Jenny said, her determination absolute. They shouldn't have to stay asleep anymore. It took Sheldon and Jenny working in tandem for 2 hours to safely reboot the pods. Their coordination was flawless. Jenny's superior processing power combined with Sheldon's innovative problem-solving created a synergy that had Brad shaking his head in admiration. Brad read off technical specifications from the ancient computers, his voice steady despite the importance of the task. Chuck ran water to keep everyone hydrated, his small frame somehow managing to be helpful despite his age. XJ7 and the other sisters kept watch, their blue and white forms positioned strategically throughout the facility, making sure nothing went wrong. Finally, the moment came. XN1's eyes snapped open with a burst of electrical energy, crackling blue light filling the pod. His entire body convulsed as consciousness flooded back into his systems. The whisker markings on his face glowed faintly with electrical potential. But then he focused. Brad instinctively stepped back, but Chuck stepped forward. Dude, Chuck said simply, his small frame showing more courage than his size suggested was possible. You okay? And that small gesture of kindness seemed to anchor X-Nun, grounding him in the moment. He looked at Chuck's sincere face, then at the line of robots behind him, each one identically blue and white, yet each distinctly unique in her bearing and design. Then at Nora Wakeman standing...
You see, that is the problem right there. Nora Wakeman should not be there. For some reason, the AI put that part in there, and that she should not be there until later on in the story. I think for some reason the AI thought that a mother was necessary, and I don't think that is necessary.
In the doorway. When his eyes landed on Nora, something fundamental shifted in his systems. The wildness in his gaze focused into something sacred. Mother, he breathed. The S3 unit took longer to boot. When he finally did, he came online more quietly, his eyes opening without the dramatic electricity. For a moment, he just stared at the ceiling of the pod. Then slowly, he looked at the assembled group. I am, he said quietly, his voice synthesized but carrying an unexpected depth. I exist. Something about the simplicity of that statement hit different. This one was softer, more introspective than his brother. I am S3, he continued, his voice gaining strength. I am a big brother. When he looked at the XJ series, his expression filled with genuine warmth. My sisters, I see you, you're beautiful. Then his eyes found Nora, and he struggled to sit up. And you made us. You're our mother. Part 2 integration.
And we'll stop there. Actually, a little bit further.
The flight back to Tremorton happened at sunset, and it was a sight to behold.
There we'll stop. Alright, so for part 3 we'll take out from there. I really wish I had something these random TMZ things. Yeah, so we'll stop there. Hopefully more people watch this than they did the other one. Alright, later days.